Yo, what is up everybody, Brandon SF101 here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys the best aircraft settings for Battlefield 2042 and also some of the best tips and tricks that you guys can do to improve your piloting skills. Now if you guys have played Battlefield 4 in the past, you might know that obviously the controls for the planes in Battlefield 4 were pretty much spot on, and it makes it a lot easier to fly the vehicles, especially if you are on controller. Now I play mostly on PC, however I will be showing you guys the controls as well for if you guys are on console and you don't have the option to use keyboard and mouse. Now I'm not going to mess around, I'm going to dive straight into the settings here, and the first thing that I'm going to be showing you guys are the controls for if you are on console and you're using a controller. Now I've done a little bit of research into this, and apparently this is how to get your controller to perform the same as it did when you was playing Battlefield 4, as some of you may already be familiar with how to fly the aircraft on Battlefield 4. Now again, as I said, I've just done a little bit of research on this and I found that apparently these are the settings that you need to use if you want to have your Battlefield 4 controls back for the aircraft. However, I actually haven't tested this myself because again, I do not use controller when I'm playing Battlefield. So you pretty much just want to have the second setting here on alternative, and you can see all of the rest of them are on custom. Moving on, the next settings I'm going to show you guys are just the general vehicle settings that I like to use. Now obviously this will be more for my preference and obviously how I like my settings, for example my sensitivity, my field of view, things like that. But if you guys want to copy them, try them out yourself, feel free to. And then moving on, last but not least, I'm going to be showing you guys a couple of keybinds that I like to change just to make my life a little bit easier when I am flying both planes and helicopters in Battlefield. So going down the list here, the first setting that I have actually changed and that I found is very frustrating is actually the rear view camera, because when you first load up the game and you use the default settings, you'll realize that you cannot really use the rear view camera like you can on Battlefield 4. Now this has been a lifesaver for me many times, because if you have somebody chasing you in a jet for example and you want to see who's behind you if they're locking onto you, you can quickly push the button for this and it will switch to your rear view camera to see who's behind you. Now I've got my rear view camera set as mouse button 3, as you can see here. I just find that this is the quickest way to switch to your rear view camera, see who's chasing you, and it gives you guys a better chance of getting away from them or evade that lock on that would knock you out the sky. And again, going down the list a little bit further, something that I also changed, as you can see here, now you have your specific vehicle seats. And now I didn't like it so much having them set as my F buttons, so what I've done, I've just changed seat 2, so I've got it as my / button just beneath my A key, so it makes it nice and snappy when you want to change seats into the gunner seat, for example if you're in the tac chopper. Okay, so I'm going to be moving on to the first sort of warm-up thing you want to do once you first get into Battlefield 2042. You've got your settings all ready to go, you've just set them all up, and you want to give flying a plane or helicopter a go, but you're a little bit worried that it might take you quite a long time to learn it. Well guys, I'm going to show you this method here and make it a little bit easy for you guys to be able to essentially get some kills in the helicopters or the planes, and maybe even win a few dogfights as well. So as you can see from the gameplay here, all I've simply done is spawned in a Nightbird. Now depending on what side of the map you are, you simply just want to look for something that is tall and thin that you guys can essentially rotate around and fly around in a circle. Now the aim of the game here is when you're flying around, for example the pole that I'm using, you essentially want to try your best to keep the yellow dot aimed at the pole at all times. Now this is probably one of the hardest things you can do in the heli, because you have to be really accurate to be able to keep that yellow dot bang in the middle on that money shot, especially when you are moving around. So if you can nail this and start trying to get some kills in the heli. One little tip for when you are flying around poles and things like this is that you just want to tilt the nose of the heli down and at a diagonal slant in the direction that you want to fly. This will mean that it will give you the forward momentum that you need to then pan the heli around the structure that you're trying to fly around, and essentially you'll be able to use your miniguns or rockets to be able to get the kills. The second tip that I'm going to be giving you guys today, now this is again another one you guys should probably practice before you do try and go out there and get loads of kills in the helis, is that you want to practice flying low to the ground so you can evade heat seekers and rockets. Now anybody who's played any previous Battlefield games and you've used a heli or a jet or an aeroplane, you guys will know that it's an absolute nightmare when it comes to people locking onto you with heat seekers and rockets. One of the best ways you can avoid this is actually by flying low to the ground, so they will either lose sight of you or they won't be able to lock onto you anymore. Now one thing you can do to start off with this, if this is your first time in a helicopter, is find a nice flat piece of ground and just practice flying backwards and forwards and doing a hairpin turn every 200 meters or so, and trying to get the helicopter as low to the ground as possible every single time. Now once you guys have mastered these two little techniques I've shown you, you'll be good to go, you'll be ready to rock around and start killing some people in the helis. Now after playing the Battlefield 2042 beta for a little while now, I've realised that when you're flying the Nightbird, and I'm pretty sure this goes for all of the aerial vehicles, you actually have to aim slightly higher than where the round crosshair is on the map. Now I'm not sure if this is just a bug, or I'm not sure if it's meant to be this way, if DICE have made it so you have to aim slightly higher for bullet drop or whatever it may be. However, I've noticed this, so if you guys are in dogfights, if you are trying to get some kills with the miniguns, you'll want to make sure that you're aiming slightly higher than where they actually are. And also if you're trying to take out infantry with the miniguns, you'll probably notice that it sort of shoots the miniguns either side of the circle, so it doesn't beam into the center like it does on Battlefield 4. So again, this makes it a little bit harder, and you just will need to be a little bit more accurate with the miniguns if you do want to try and use them.